Dick Hard from Backstreet Boys.
Shout out to Boy Band Break.
It's Christopher Patrick here. Shout out to your podcast, Boy Band Break.
Everybody, this is Howie D, and I'm listening to Boy Band Break.
Hi, Ashley Parker Angel here. Huge shout out to the Boy Band Break podcast.
This is Brad from LFO, and you are listening to Boy Band Break.
Hey, what's up? This is Jacob.
It's Dan.
What's up? It's Trevor.
And it's Eric Michael, and it's time for Boy Band Break, baby. Let's go!
Bam, 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 bam.
Anyway, what are we talking about today?
Nick, I'm glad you asked, because in our last season, we did an episode on the Woodstock 99 documentary. When we were recording, you called that this one moment that stuck with me.
I know, falling out of the number one spot, back to number 3 today. Here is Korn with Freak on a Leash.
In the moment, TRL became that cultural touch point for teenagers. It was must-see TV. We had all this inner genre of music melding together in an hour where that would never have happened even a few years ago. At the time, it felt like it's awesome. Like TRL is a place like the United Nations. Like we all come together. Everybody coexisted sort of magically. But looking back on it now, you realize that we were really probably playing with fire.
I'm sick of the Backstreet Boys on MTV Live. I'm sick of that shit. You know, it's bullshit.
Don't hold back on me.
I'm not holding back. I hate that.
Okay, so Nick, it was that one angry white guy in a parking lot who just could not stand the idea that other music existed. Do you remember that?
I remember. I do. Yeah, very much.
Yeah. And you had made comment about it of like everything in this guy's life had been tailored to please him. And the fact that there was something else that was popular, even if he wasn't going to consume it, its existence pissed him off. So I can't think of another moment in modern music where a band like The Offspring brings out effigies of boy bands and bludgeons them in front of a crowd of hundreds of thousands of people. Like, you never saw Led Zeppelin on stage screaming, "Fuck Davy Jones and the Monkees." I'm like, Motley Crue never stopped doing rails of coke off strippers' tits to give a shit about New Kids on the Block. They were doing their own thing and in their own lanes, and they had wildly different audiences. And ultimately, like, who cares? There's enough money for everyone. So that's the question I want to ask today. How, in this brief window of time, did the mere existence of boys bands fill young nu metal fans with such revulsion? To do this, we need to reach across the aisle and speak with the experts on all things boy and band. So today I want to welcome to the show Cinzia and Lydia from the podcast Boy Band Break. Welcome.
Hi, guys.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we are boy bandologists, so yes. you definitely chose the right people.
Yeah, there's no way I could handle this alone.
Yes. Yeah, no, we are here to help you.
We are your Sherpas on this voyage back in time. Let's go.
This is awesome. Thanks so much for being here.
Tell me a little bit about how you came to start Boy Band Break, because y'all are like coming up on 300 episodes pretty soon.
Yeah.
We're around 230-ish right now. So, well, first of all, we know nothing about podcasts. And my one best friend was like, but we know a lot about boy bands. And he's like, you know what? You should start a podcast about boy bands. And we're like, nobody's going to listen to it. And he's like, yeah, they will. That's still debatable, but we keep chugging along because that's what we do.
Guys. We got 1,000 subs on YouTube.
Yes, we actually just got our first.
So like we got some people,
but we've been doing it for about 5 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
I think that's when you can monetize.
Yeah, well, we got too much copyrighted material, but
yeah.
Nuts.
When we've been pretty lucky so far, but we did one episode where we played a clip of like a recent pop song, and the whole episode got scrubbed right off.
Yeah, exactly. It sucks
for sure.
But so we essentially made it. Cinzia made it. You made it. I came on episode 5. We're actually sisters.
So ask us if we're sisters.
Ask us if we're sisters.
Are you sisters?
No.
Yes, man.
It's a Night of the Roxbury reference for anyone who has not.
Yep.
Yes, there you go.
So
it was my 2 friends that I met through the Backstreet Boys, and we decided we would do a podcast, and then we had Lydia on as a special guest for an NSYNC episode, I believe.
Yeah.
And then she just stayed the whole time.
I never left.
I believe we're on like almost 5 years now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes. And
So does it piss you off that like Lance Bass is now coming out with his own boy band podcast? I think it's called Frosted Tips.
No, we love it.
I actually love it because he actually is interviewing a lot of the boy bands from the time. And I was just listening to the most recent episode with Joey Fatone, and they were talking about when he dated Lena from Aqua, and I was like, no one else remembers this happening. So I was like, thank you for bringing this up and validating me, because it was a very brief period of time when I was like, Joey and Lena are dating. So
it was a thing in the year back in my day.
So we're Canadian, obviously. I don't know why, but that's not obvious. I have no idea why that'd be obvious, but
I could tell by the moose walking around in the background.
No,
yes, from his hat. So I know you're going to talk about MTV a lot. We didn't have MTV when we were kids. We had Much Music.
Which is the Canadian
we eventually got MTV, but it was different back then. But yeah, Much Music, essentially basically the same thing. We played music videos. They competed against each other. It was new metal, and boy bands and pop stars and all that stuff. So it was
probably like a lot of Sum 41.
Yeah. Oh my God. We got stories about Sum 41 actually. Yeah, and we also had something called YTV, which was like youth television, and like they had their own
YTV hit list. So every Sunday there would be like a countdown of the top 10 or 30 songs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that's actually where they brought in a lot of British boy bands and stuff for that.
Yeah,
too,
Canada was an interesting place to be in the early 2000s because we got influences from America, from Canada, from the UK. Like it was like we got like a total mishmash of everything, which was great.
And I don't know if you guys know this, but Canada has this rule called CanCon.
CanCon, have you heard of that?
So you have to play 35% Canadian content.
It's mandatory. It's mandatory by the government.
So it's either, and it's something, it's called MAPLE. So it's music, artist, producer, and label maybe. So you need to have 2 of the 4 for it to be considered Canadian. So for example, even though Bryan Adams was Canadian because he did his albums in the States and things like that, he was not considered part of CanCon. So it was like a whole big thing. So
yeah, I mean, I think that sounds really great in theory, like communism, but like communism, it sounds like you probably have to listen to a lot of Nickelback.
Yes, yeah, actually, yeah,
sure,
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay, so to start, I want to briefly address the history of the modern boy band. In my research, it could be argued that barbershop quartets or doo-wop groups are the forebears of the genre, and that the essence of what constitutes a boy band can be summed up as such: a vocal group consisting of young male singers, usually in their teenage years or in their 20s, singing love songs and often performing choreographed routines. That can be like the agreed upon playing field.
Yeah. I mean, except for One Direction, they don't do choreography.
Dance.
Okay, but by and large.
For the general amount, yes.
Yes.
That's a much different origin story than the music we normally cover, where you have to be from like Bakersfield, California and have a crystal meth habit.
Oh, God.
A lot of folks will argue that the Beatles are the first modern boy bands, and I can't decide if that's just like a super lazy hot take or if that's the truth. So I'm interested. What do you think is the first boy band?
So we have really we've discussed this a few times because you have the Beatles and the Monkees and stuff. The difference with like the Beatles is that they played instruments, and a lot of the modern boy bands do not play instruments, or like a member will play guitar or drums, but not for the whole thing, right? So it's more of like a singing and dancing group.
Yeah.
Okay. I think of the modern era, New Kids on the Block, probably New Edition.
Well, Jackson 5.
Jackson 5 kind of started.
Menudo.
Yes. Yeah, Menudo. Yeah, exactly.
Menudo. New Kids on the Block gets a lot of credit.
They do.
Boys to Men, those are kind of like the main ones. And then it kind of went to your Backstreet NSYNC.
Okay.
Then O-Town, 98 Degrees.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely I feel like the fanatic-y stuff started with the Beatles, but I feel like more modern boy bands would probably be more in the 80s, early 90s. Kind of.
Yeah.
To your point, in the 60s and 70s, you had the groups like Jackson 5, the Osmond Brothers, Partridge Family, and then you also had your solo heartthrobs like Andy Gibb, Sean Cassidy, and Donovan. And that's fine. That's kind of like its own thing. There's a little bit more musicality and less on showmanship, except for the Jackson 5.
Oh, the Monkees. The Monkees were here.
And the Monkees, yeah.
Yes. Sorry.
Okay. Where we really want to like kickstart this thing is the 80s. And you had mega groups like New Edition and Menudo. But there was one boy band that brought that genre to an entirely new level. And of course, I'm talking about New Kids on the Block.
Oh, you bet.
That was my first concert.
Really?
Shut up.
Yeah, New Kids on the Block at Poplar Creek, which is like an outdoor venue somewhere north of Chicago.
Were you hanging tough over there?
Absolutely. I had a cool vest on. I was in fourth
Did you
grade.
have the bedding
Awesome.
and like the little action figures?
I don't think he did.
My sister
Oh,
did.
there you go. Okay.
My younger sister.
Cute.
I remember like I was at a mall with my mom and I bought like a Tiger Beat magazine because it had New Kids on the Block on it, and I brought it home and my dad was horrified. Didn't realize what I had purchased.
You need to know what their favorite colors are, or else how are you going to know if they like you, right?
Right, I agree. This was pre-internet days, guys. We had little to no information.
Yes.
Magazines were our lifeline.
Sometimes better, sometimes worse.
Yeah,
So.
agreed.
New Kids on the Block was the product of record producer Maurice Starr. Starr had found previous success with the creation of New Edition, and he set his sights on creating a white counterpart act because this was the Reagan 80s and shit was wildly racist.
Unfortunately,
Also, I
yes.
believe that New Edition fired Maurice, so I think that was his way to get back at them, was to use New Kids.
Is he a general, or is he like Idi Amin? Because he calls himself General Maurice Starr, and on his Instagram is like a picture of him like stealing some sort of crazy valor. It's just like he has just medals all over his shirt.
Who knows?
Not that we know of, but I mean, it's possible.
Very possible. Who knows? What's interesting, though, is that New Kids actually like Maurice Starr, where I feel like a lot of times when these artists, these managers take over and do all this stuff, they
grow to hate them.
Yes, they hate them. They fire them. They sue them. All these things.
And we'll get there too.
Yes. So when I went to the Apollo concert in New York City for New Kids' 30th anniversary, I think, they had a whole big tribute to Maurice. Like, so it was like, oh, okay. So it was, so they're like, okay, I guess they like him. It's not a situation.
You wouldn't do a tribute to someone you hated unless it was some sort of weird revenge thing.
True.
Yeah.
So I found this article from 1989 in the LA Times where they interview Maurice Starr. And this shit is crazy to me that it made it to print. But what makes the New Kids really different from any other successful white teen vocal group is their style. It's black, very black.
Jesus.
Oh,
Christ.
wow.
And then here's a quote from Maurice. These are white kids who are black, Starr insisted. They have white skins, but they're black. They have soul. They sing black. Now, for those of you who might need a refresher, here's what New Kids on the Block sound like. Dude, this is around the same time that Fuck the Police came out. So
what strikes me about it is like how thin the production is. There's just nothing going on in the music
at all,
except a lot more cowbells than ours.
A lot of whistles.
For sure, definitely.
To Maurice's credit, all right. So I will say, I know it sounds weird. Okay, but to Maurice's credit, a lot of even like Elvis, for example, he was a white guy, but had a lot of musical influence in black culture. And he became popular because he was a white guy. So this is kind of like the same thing. Racism bad. We all know racism bad, but like, I'm thinking that's probably
You
what
heard it
he
here
thought.
First.
Got it right. Breaking news. Yeah. So like, I think that's kind of like where he was coming from.
That's a good idea.
You know what I
Maybe
mean? Where it's just like, unfortunately, a lot of white artists steal from black culture and then rise to fame, and the black people are like, what the fuck? Like, I wrote that shit. You know what I mean? So like, I get it. It's I get what he was trying to say, but yeah, it does not come off super, not PC at all. Yeah.
But all the problematic cultural leanings of the time aside, the seeds of war between nu metal and boy bands were already planted all the way back then. So at the height of New Kids' popularity, they are without a doubt the biggest act on the planet.
Want to know my favorite thing about the New Kids era was, obviously they were just like, they had all the merchandise, right? But the funny thing is, because they were so popular, you'd go to the store to look for New Kids stuff and there'd just be a lot of fucking Dannies.
There's always like that one member that nobody likes.
Right. Yeah. And like then secondarily there'd be some Johns, but the other guys, those
Donnie, Joey, Jordan, they're all flying off the shelves.
Yeah. They were like through like 3 tiers of New Kids members.
How many girls on Christmas morning do you think were crying when they just unwrapped the Danny?
Yeah.
Like, oh, Danny,
I like Joey. Yeah. Anyways, Kevin, continue, please. I love where this is going.
Hanging Tough went 8 times platinum, which no other album will do again. And in 1990, they embarked on the Magic Summer Tour, which was a 22-month world tour playing 220 shows, which is insane.
Yeah, that's brutal.
Yeah. So here's an interesting thing I learned about that. I don't want to get off on too much of a tangent, but the summer leg of this tour was sponsored by Coca-Cola to promote their magic can giveaway.
Yes, it was. Yes.
Okay, you remember this, Nick? Do you remember this at all?
There was like, remember?
I'm going to quote from an article in the advertising blog Dieline. The patented beverage packaging, dubbed magic cans, were designed to look and feel like a regular soda can. The hidden prizes created a national treasure hunt with an unexpected and instant win possible with every purchase. Inside the magic can, Coca-Cola enclosed a spring-loaded mechanism with a watertight compartment. To trick prize hunters, they filled the inside of the vessel with chlorinated water to give the prize cans the weight and feel of cans filled with Coca-Cola. To prevent customers from consuming the water inside, they added a harmless but fart-smelling chemical, ammonium sulfate. So, first off, this is just peak chef's kiss capitalism. Buy a Coke, and if you're lucky, it'll be filled with fart water that spits $1 at you.
Clearly, the FDA was on cocaine during this time too.
So it actually spit $1 bill out or a voucher for Coke. So there were just grimy ass dollar bills rolled up in cans of water and smelled like shit.
Coming from strippers' asses.
You know, there's a corner store somewhere that has one of these left, probably.
Oh, if you can find them on eBay, they fetch a price.
Yeah.
So you can probably guess where this is going. The launch mechanisms failed. And some people were hospitalized after ignoring the fact that their Coke smelled like ass and drank it anyway.
Oh my God.
And what's better, because the look and feel of the faulty cans was identical to an actual can of Coke, they couldn't issue a recall. So, So they cut the advertising campaign short. And they had a spot that showed New Kids on the Block. And they just added an extra voiceover from Jordan Knight warning, if you have a winning can, don't drink the liquid.
Amazing.
Amazing.
Awesome. Back to the war. If you haven't guessed, the New Kids are at private jet level now. And it's at this time that the kids rent a plane from an aviation entrepreneur by the name of Lou Pearlman.
Yep.
Lou Pearlman is a fascinating character.
Yep.
The only child of Hy and Renee Pearlman, Lou was born in 1954 in Flushing, Queens. Lou was an unfortunate child in pretty much every regard. He was a doughy child who wore his pants hiked up around his nipples with a pocket protector to complete the fit. He didn't play with any of the other neighborhood kids and was often the target of their bullying.
Yep.
And it also didn't help that Lou was a bit of a fabulist. The kid lied a lot, but like every good grifter, he kept a little nugget of truth in the lies. Like when he got Art Garfunkel to show up at his bar mitzvah.
Yes. Because it's his cousin.
It is his cousin.
Yeah.
See, there's a little bit of truth there.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing Lou unabashedly loved was blimps. Pearlman's home was located across from the Flushing Airport, where he would watch blimps take off and land. Fast forward to 1980, and Lou is the founder of Airship Enterprises Limited. And after a little insurance fraud, Lou was a millionaire and moved his budding empire to Orlando.
Yeah, he
the Jordache jeans.
The Jordache jean blimp. Yeah.
So he got a weather balloon and made it look like a blimp, and then he painted it with this like gold metal thing, and then its maiden voyage, it went into flames and crashed.
Yeah.
And then he was able to take that money and then reinvest it in another.
Yeah, and that's exactly where he got his start. Yeah. Fraud.
A promotional stunt went haywire today. A blimp that was to be used to promote Jordache jeans crashed very shortly after it took off at Lakehurst, New Jersey. Bill Lewis went down to Lakehurst. He has a report and a pair of jeans on what we see now.
This is what's left of a brand new $2.5 million blimp. It crashed this morning on its maiden flight to advertise and publicize Jordache. The only one aboard, the pilot, unhurt.
When it first took off, they were having problems getting lift, getting altitude. And after about 2 minutes or 3 minutes while they were up in the air, they were having rudder problems because it started, every time you applied power, it'd go into, a couple of spins.
I'm pretty sure everyone in this report is drunk.
Probably.
That's quite the fabulous mustache on that guy.
That guy is 90% mustache.
Yeah.
And I like everybody's accent. Like they don't allow accents on local news anymore in America. Everybody sounds the same. But back then he's like, fucking blimp, fucking crashed in the yard.
I know, right? It's the best. Oh my god. So he bought that broken blimp on purpose, eh? Like it was already a broken blimp. This was all a stunt. He knew this.
And
was
what he
fail.
painted it with made it too heavy that it wouldn't lift off the ground.
That's hilarious.
Amazing.
Yeah, I don't think you're supposed to paint a blimp.
Probably not.
It's like what I mean, fabric. Yeah, but yeah, it's just I love Lou, and I know it's going to be a weird.
It's like a very there's a
love-hate
relationship with Lou because without Lou we wouldn't have all these boy bands. They wouldn't have success. Can I just say my second favorite thing about this around this blimp time is then he then made an airline company and
called Transcontinental.
Transcon Airline, and he had Transcontinental. And he took pictures of a toy airplane in front of the airport and cut off his hand so it looked like it was an actual plane because he lived across the street from the airfield.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
So he totally made this up. Oh, these are, he'd always say that they were his planes.
Yeah, because he was a model collector, right? So he would take pictures of his models and cut off the hand. So that way it looked like that was his fleet. So he would convince people that he had.
Oh yeah, I have these. Invest in. I own these planes.
It was in this moment that Lou would see the money-making potential of the boy band. Mm-hmm. After relocating to Orlando, Lou started Transcontinental Records. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about Orlando for a minute.
Yeah.
This is the Bakersfield of boy bands. If Korn had less meth and deserts and more stable, supportive single-parent households and theme parks, you'd have Orlando.
Yep. Yeah, accurate.
Totally true.
Yeah, it was like a cesspool of hot, Mecca. Young, attractive men.
You had Disney, you had Universal, you had all these boys there, a lot of them came in for that, right? Because the big companies, right, or Universal, Disney, they hired young, attractive looking people, right? So they kind of fostered that culture in Orlando, and Lou's like, give me some yummies over there.
Yeah, like a shark to chum. Like you're absolutely right. You've got Disney World and Universal, and it was a lightning rod for aspiring talent from everywhere. Like the Disney Princess Breakfast Adventure needs its princesses, and the Mickey Mouse Club needs its Mouseketeers.
Right.
So there they went.
Yep.
In 1992, Lou sets up a $3 million talent search and places an ad in the Orlando Sentinel to compose a vocal group with a New Kids on the Block look, but with a Boys to Men sound. So not much has changed since the casting call for the New Kids.
Yep.
Oh, geez.
Exactly. Yeah. But 5 unknown performers were chosen: AJ McLean, Howie Doro, Nick Carter, Kevin Richardson, Brian Luttrell, and with that, the Backstreet Boys were formed. This is a gross oversimplification because I looked at the Backstreet Boys Wikipedia and holy hell, there is so much drama and members in and out. And if you are interested in that, please tune in to Boy Band Break because they will break it down for you in a way that this podcast could never hope to.
Mm-hmm. I just want to give a quick shout out to Charlie Edwards, who not only was not in the Backstreet Boys, ended up getting kicked out of the group, going to Club Med, made it back for NSYNC, and then also left before they got famous. So he lightning struck
twice, and he's like, I'm going back to Club Med
to teach golf. So yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, can you imagine?
No, I can't imagine.
Like you're like, oh wow, this group I was
winning
in
the lottery and leaving it at home. You're like,
they sound like the Slipknot of
maybe, yeah.
Out the gate, Backstreet Boys were stars.
Are you talking about popularity in America?
No, just overall.
Okay, because it took a long time to get popular in America. They started in Germany because it was the
grunge scene.
It was a grunge scene at the time.
Oh, okay.
So so they had to start over in Europe, trickle to Canada, trickled down into America.
Trickle down. It works. Okay, so help me out because they released the Backstreet Boys and then Backstreet's Back, and then they put those two together and released it again as Backstreet's Back.
That was, so the American, so there's the Red Album.
Yeah, the Red Album.
That came out in Europe and Canada.
Yeah. Okay.
And then when it came out in the States, they had kind of combined it, but it had the same name as the second album. It was, had some songs that were the same.
Yeah, so because the breakout song in America was Backstreet's Back. But America had never heard of Backstreet. So that's the weird part. But in Europe and Canada, we're like, yeah, Backstreet's back. All right. Okay. So it's
okay. So that's the album that goes 14 times platinum in the United States.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So now they're huge.
Yes.
And here's where our boy Lou really starts to shine. So using the same boilerplate, he goes on to create megastars in sync. Yes. And in doing so, he sets the stage for a boy band versus boy band war, which will predate the nu metal versus boy band war by just a little bit.
Correct.
It's amazing. So
yeah, he's like, there's Coke and Pepsi, and I'm selling both.
Yeah. And I think I was telling Nick before the show that Lou Pearlman deserves to go down in the Grifter Hall of Fame as one of the greatest to ever do it.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, he didn't end great.
No. You know what though? Like he made so many people suffer. It's like just desserts in a way. Yeah, but no. Anyways.
But yeah, essentially, Backstreet Boys didn't know that Lou was creating NSYNC.
Lou kept NSYNC a secret on the books.
Kept it a secret, called them the B Project or something. Had them there, and then told when they started coming up, told Backstreet that NSYNC hated them, and told NSYNC that Backstreet, so that he's tried to start rivalries within it.
Yeah,
with the fandoms.
Can you imagine the slap fight that would have came out of
that? What's interesting though is that never happened. The thing that really, it was a limo ride that changed everything. It was a limo ride after when we went to Challenge for the Children. Remember?
Okay. Yep.
In Miami. It was like a basketball game. Like Lou would also host this like charitable basketball game where like NSYNC versus Backstreet, right? And then what would happen is after, they would separate. But this one time they went to McDonald's together. It was who was Brian, Justin,
possibly,
and like I think maybe Nick or something. Anyways, the two of them were just like alone.
Notes.
They were alone for the first time ever, and then they started talking. And then the story started lining up like, oh, is he doing this to you? Oh, yeah, he's doing this to us, too. Oh, my God. And then that's when shit hit the fan. That's when lawsuits came, all the stuff, right? It's like because Lou was trying to keep them separate for so long. And this is the one McDonald's limo ride that ruined it all.
And buddy. So, Nick, remember on the last episode where I said Slipknot had the worst contract in music? Yes, I am officially taking that back.
Yep.
So, in 2019, Lance Bass put out the documentary, The Boy Band Con, The Lou Pearlman Stories. And if you're listening, please go watch it because it's an amazing documentary. But I want to share a quick clip where Lance breaks down just how fucked they got.
Yeah.
Super fucked.
So fucked.
We were making $35 a day, which was our per diem. And I remember thinking that was such a lot of money because this is all free. Everything, my life was free.
Everywhere you'll ever stay is free, and we're gonna give you a per diem on top of that. I'm thinking I'm king of the castle at this point.
No one worked harder than NSYNC and Backstreet Boys. No one. These guys didn't get a day off. Never. And if they got a day off, I got them for a photo shoot.
We've been touring for about almost 2 years.
#1 albums.
Countless radio promotions.
Things were going great for us.
This is as good as it gets right here.
I remember this one trip to Los Angeles I was so excited about because Lou was hyping up the fact that this was going to be our first check presentation. And at this point, we've worked so hard and we've gotten zero. It's all kind of accumulated and they're just gonna give it all to us in one little batch in a check. And he takes us to Lowry's, a very lavish dinner. Lou loved those big family dinners. We had all our family there.
He had all the parents to come. At this time, they had sold over 10 million records. I was just kind of doing the math in my head, but I kept thinking, okay, if it's just $1 million, divide that up by 5, and Lance is going to get $200,000.
You start thinking in your head, like, what could it be? Is it 6 figures? Is it $1 million? Like, what am I about to fall into right now? My life is about to change.
And I'm thinking to myself, oh, this is going to get crazy. A lot of money now, this is going to be nuts.
I was on cloud 9. I was on top of the world at that point. I mean, we thought it was as big as we could possibly get. I open up the envelope, I see the check, and oh my gosh, my heart sunk and I couldn't believe the number I was looking at.
The reaction from everybody when they saw their checks was just astonishment.
The check was $10,000.
They got so fucked.
They got so fucked. It's bad.
Some accounts say 20,000, but it's definitely between 10 and 20,000.
That's terrible.
Cinzia, Lydia, let me break it down for you. Slipknot has 9 people in it. And they signed a 7-album deal to Roadrunner Records for $500,000.
Ooh. Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Yikes.
But
okay.
If you run the numbers, they made more than NSYNC did.
And Slipknot did not have the insane amount of merchandise that NSYNC had. Because just think of all that shit. We bought so much shit. We made money selling NSYNC lip glosses on eBay.
You would buy wholesale.
I would buy wholesale and then sell them on eBay.
That's amazing.
That's how I funded my concert tickets because I didn't have a job at the time.
That's incredible.
And then we'd also sell. This would never happen nowadays. We would take pictures at these events, and sometimes they'd be good pictures, and then we would sell those on eBay. Like people would want like a 4x6 picture.
This is early internet days, guys.
And now, like, could you imagine selling these? Because we're like, we can print them for like 5 cents and then sell them for like $5 or whatever. Like it was like
I love it.
We sold Justin's water bottle. Remember?
Okay, that was
like Well,
you know what? If back in the day we could just crushed up a water bottle and said that Justin Timberlake drank out of it.
We included pictures it was the same type of water bottle.
Amazing.
It wasn't the water bottle?
I mean,
yes, you're turning into Lou!
It totally was the water bottle.
I digress. All of this is to say that boy bands are a massive business and a visual medium was needed to meet that demand. And thus, on September 14th of 1998, Total Request Live premiered on MTV. Canadians, not so much.
No,
we knew what it was.
We knew what it was,
Yeah.
for sure.
Because
So it would also be in the magazines and things like that.
There's like this saying, if America sneezes, Canada gets a cold. You know what I mean? So like you guys are very influential to us too, right? So like anytime you had TRL, our answer to TRL was Much Music, right? So like they're like, oh, we got to do something Canadian shit, So like we definitely knew what it was. So I was like, that was like the thing.
All right. So for those who may be too young or too old to remember, the format worked like this. TRL played the 10 most requested music videos of the day as voted by viewers via phone or online.
Or fax.
We had fax. Did you guys have? And then, yes, and we'd have Combat Day clips, which is, they're trying to be like French, right? So like combating clips, I guess. I don't know. That's what it really means.
We have to have
so
French
you
stuff
could, so it would be like,
country.
it would be like Slipknot versus Backstreet Boys. And then you would like, you could call in or you could send a fax and they would read your fax on air sometimes. So that was like, our parents had a fax machine. So I was like, yeah,
Dad had a business.
Music.
We're like, Much Music.
Mom, get me some more toner. I got to vote for Slipknot.
Right? Exactly.
Good shit.
Seriously.
It's
yeah,
fantastic.
sorry. But yes, you
Sorry.
definitely have, you got your.
So we have one up on you guys.
That's incredible. And then they would also have, the hottest acts of the day would show up to the studio in Times Square to shill whatever movie or album they had coming out. And it's not an understatement to say that for a suburban teen in America, TRL was the pulse of the culture. And this is where the war of nu metal versus boy bands would begin. Former VJ Dave Holmes penned an article for Stereo Gum about this subject, which I'm going to quote from. He writes, in the TRL era, the rivalries were numerous and usually over artists who were fundamentally similar. NSYNC versus Backstreet Boys, Christina versus Britney, LFO versus 98 Degrees, which we kind of addressed. One big fight picked up on the daily top 10 once the show got up and moving. It pit two very different genres against one another, pop versus nu metal. And he's not wrong. Nu metal came out of nowhere. So in 1998, Backstreet Boys' I'll Never Break Your Heart holds the #1 slot 7 times on TRL and is neck and neck with NSYNC's Tearing Up My Heart. Those two traps leapfrog over one another for 3 months until NSYNC releases God Must Have Spent a Little More Time on You, and the Backstreet Boys respond with All I Have to Give. That's short-lived because in December, NSYNC releases Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, which effectively knocks Backstreet Boys out of the running. 99 kicks off in the same manner. All I Have to Give and God Must Have Spent a Little Bit More Time on You exchange blows until the end of February, when a band by the name of Korn takes the #1 slot with Freak on a Leash. And it is from there that the landscape shifts.
And now new metal is there.
New metal is just, it was not there, and then it is there. Nick, did you ever sit down and watch TRL and have any vested interest in?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I was starting to age out. I think like my MTV years, I was a little bit younger because I graduated high school in 1999. So, but yeah, I mean, and I think that like the Todd McFarlane directed animated video had to play tons into this, right? Because like
Spawn,
I mean, it was,
and
Yeah.
From there, the landscape shifts. Now, all I have to give is competing against Freak on a Leash. But then NSYNC comes back with God Must Have Spent Him a Little Bit More Time on You. But wait, a new challenger appears. Newcomer Britney Spears enters the ring with Baby One More Time. Court is swift to react, taking the #1 spot yet again. Spears is having none of it and yet again assumes the throne. Korn, undeterred, swings back. Freak on a Leash is on top, and oh my God, 98 Degrees comes off the top rope with the hardest thing.
Oof, that was a good one. Yeah.
You get the idea, though. Like, this was high drama being fought at live, and we held the power to help our chosen champions ascend to the top of the pop culture mountain.
Which is a big deal.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because as teens, we had no say in any aspect of our lives. Yep. So this is why this held true. Like this was like so important. Ride or die. These are our guys, right?
That's an amazing observation. Yeah. There was something that you could have control over. That's wild.
Yeah. Yeah. So Holmes continues. As clean, factory fresh pop music began to fill up the new generation's American bandstand, the young girls swooned. And as usually happens when young girls get into something, pierced ears, My Little Pony, bisexuality, young boys muscle their way in and try to find a way to ruin it. For those boys, there was a new metal. And I kind of get that, but for me, it was more that I would get home from a shitty day of high school where I was constantly felt like a loser and an outsider. And I'd flip on TRL and get blasted by a bunch of wealthy dudes with washboard abs singing about love. And in the words of DMX, don't hit me with that positive shit.
That's true.
The angsty stuff.
Yeah, that's just where I was at.
Well, like growing boys and growing girls need different things, right?
Precisely.
I mean, like women, we need love and passion and romance, and guys are just like, I just want to know that my voice is being heard and I'm important.
Yeah.
And we want to break some shit.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Here's where I think Holmes does make a super good observation. My other explanation is that the boys simply wanted to watch TRL and were afraid of being called gay for it.
Yep.
There was a barrier to entry, but as long as there was something aggro and filthy on screen for a few minutes an hour, they felt safe to watch the countdown and pretend not to enjoy Christina Aguilera's Come On Over Baby.
Right.
I think that's
exactly.
100% true.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Here's the paradoxical thing, right? If like as a man during that time, if you were to actually learn the lyrics and do the choreography, you'd probably pull a lot of puss, you know?
100%.
Like, no offense. Right? And so it's very, but yeah, like
you're counterproductive to yourself because you were missing out on
this. Yeah, this is the thing. And like, you know, we've come a long way with gay rights and acceptance with gay culture. Mm-hmm. And back then it just wasn't where we are now.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So like, so being called gay was like, oh, I'm not gay. Like it was like very
like I gotta be more aggressive and anti whatever because
like there was, I mean, gay people have existed throughout the entire planet, throughout time. There's always been gay people. You know what I mean? But like,
it's taboo, I guess.
Yeah, it's just been taboo.
I mean,
but like
in this time in 1999, on the same album with Freak on a Leash, Korn released a song with Fred Durst where they just basically call each other homophobic slurs over and over.
Yeah. And like that would totally normal. So the big four of TRL pop into my mind as Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, Britney Spears, and Christina Aguilera. So obviously two of these are not bands nor boys. I'm curious where these two female artists fell in terms of your fandom.
Well,
Britney was dating Justin at the time.
Yes.
So I feel like people mostly
like pop royalty.
Them. Yes.
Okay. They were like,
they had that
matching
denim.
The denim suits.
I feel like Britney was, even though she also had dirty lyrics in her song, she was the more like clean and clean cut friend, and then Christina was like the dirty one.
The dirty girl, yeah. So like it was interesting because like they're essentially like two sides of the same coin, right? So Brittany was definitely like in with the Lou-ness. Christina, I think, was part of a different.
I don't think she was managed by Lou.
No, she wasn't managed by Lou.
But what's interesting is whoever cast the Mickey Mouse Club was a genius, because in there you had Christina, Brittany, you had JC and Justin from NSYNC, you had Kerry Russell, you had Ryan Gosling. I think that's kind of like the main group of that.
Pretty crazy.
And that just like they exploded after Mickey Mouse Club was done, and they all had like huge careers.
Yeah, they have. Yeah.
How do you think that works? I think this child is going to grow up to be hot.
Yeah, right. Anyways, but yeah, so like the girls did fit in. Like that was like the boys' answer to the pop, right? Because like pop music was, music is cyclical, right? We go through like stages of like, oh, we like this, now we hate this, right? So Backstreet and NSYNC was like the girls' answer. And Christina and Brittany was like the boys' answer to pop music at the time. So they all do fit together. So that does jive.
Awesome. So whereas the boys did battle in the "you suck, no you suck" manner, the girls were subject to the number one nu metal trope, misogyny. Yeah.
Yep.
So of course, nu metal compatriot Eminem is top of mind in the way he treated both Spears and Aguilera, looping Fred Durst into that as well. What I find truly weird is that MTV and other media outlets tried their damnedest on 2 occasions to make Fred Durst the Lothario of the pop world. We'll start with Christina. In January of 2000, Rolling Stone published the article, "Christina Aguilera has eyes for Fred Durst. Teen Queen Aguilera wants to take a bad boy to the Grammys." Woo! She's quoted as saying, "He wanted me to be his date for the MTV Video Music Awards," said Aguilera, who is nominated for Best New Artist and Best Female Pop Vocal Performance. But it was Aguilera's record company, not the 19-year-old singer, who nixed the idea. "They were like, no, Aguilera says. But in the future, I'll probably do something like that." Pause. I want to remind everyone that at this time, Fred Durst was 30 years old.
Okay, I was just going to Google that because I was like, he always looked old.
He was 30 and she was 19. Okay. Imagine all our surprise when on September 7th of 2000, Fred joined Christina for a performance on the VMAs. And we're going to watch a little bit of that.
Yay!
And I don't think it's fair, and I don't even think that anybody cares. It'll leave a hole down inside of me, and it'll leave a scar. Can anybody see that we gotta get it out? We gotta get it out. We gotta get it out. And I'ma get it out with the microphone plugging in my soul. I'm renegade, trying to get it out of control. I'ma keep it alive and continue to be. I'm living life in the fast lane.
That was terrible.
That was amazing.
Yeah, it didn't work. They just threw that together.
They did, yeah.
Just like it's too random.
Well, probably because of the it was like, oh, they're talking about a shit. Oh my God, they're on stage together. Oh my God, it's real.
You are 100% correct. On October 3rd, MTV ran a news article about the fallout from this never heard of crossover, these star-crossed lovers. While some saw the move as a step towards unity in the pop world, many others, including Filter frontman Richard Patrick, viewed the Limp Bizkit singer's stage time with Aguilera as a major embarrassment to the rock world. Fred getting on stage with Christina Aguilera embarrassed us all, Patrick told MTV News in the wake of the performance. And some fans seem to agree. One MTV.com user called Durst a pop-lovin' piece of frozen dog shit.
Wow.
While another tagged him a hypocritical egomaniac. Yet another simply stated the VMA appearance was about the worst moment in music this year.
Oh my God.
Yeah. After eliciting such charged reactions, Durst finally explained his reasons for hitting the stage with the pop star and shrugged off his critics. "I already told you guys before, I did it all for the nookie, man. That's why I did. I swear to God, he said that.
That's so embarrassing.
He told Durst told MTV while attending a party at the Playboy Mansion.
Yep, that was a thing back then. Yep.
So that was October 3rd.
Mm-hmm,
October 4th, MTV ran another article that captured Aguilera's response. And I quote, "As it happens, Aguilera was padding around her house on the morning of October 4th and happened to hear Durst's comments on TV. You wish you got some nookie from it," Aguilera responded to an MTV camera crew after she caught Durst's explanation on air. "He got no nookie. That didn't happen, okay?" Aguilera explained. "I just want to clear the table right here. And the thing with Carson Daly, too, Eminem's whole song, did not happen, okay? It just didn't. But it's some crazy stuff that people want to insinuate and that people want to say, and it's hurtful." It's worth mentioning that on October 17th, Limp Bizkit would be releasing their third studio album.
Doing it all for the publicity.
There's the
Yes.
one. That's it.
There you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's for sure because he's got to look cool in front of all the other like
Good
rock
old fashioned
guys.
slut shaming.
Exactly. Like
Yep.
Yep.
Which is a huge part of new metal.
Yeah.
Yikes.
So, but then again, it could be totally possible that the incredibly attractive 19-year-old pop star just couldn't resist
A
the
guy who looked like he rolled out of bed and put on a hat. Like, what the fuck
Right.
is this?
Yeah.
Put some effort there, buddy.
Yeah. With Mr. Camo shorts.
This is why we like the boy banders because
The hat is to cover the baldness.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's very bald.
He's got that.
Yeah, he wears a wig on stage
He's got
now.
that like
like the monk thing.
No, yeah, the monk guy. Yeah.
In 2003, he tried the same shit, but this time with Britney Spears.
Nope. Well protected.
I have a Sydney Morning Herald news article from March 2nd, 2003 that says, "Britney not that innocent," says Limp Bizkit frontman.
Oh, gross. Yeah, he tried to he went on Howard Stern
Always
saying
Howard
that like
Stern, man.
always. Yeah, he tried the same exact formula, like, "Oh God, we're just made for each other," and she goes, "No, we're not." And then he doubles down on it, but the narrative didn't take, and he moved on, kind of, because in 2009, Durst reignited the rumors, which is pretty disgusting, considering that at this juncture in Spears' life, she began a very public meltdown, getting placed on a 5150 hold, and all this other gruesome stuff happened. We really don't need to get into it, but it leaves Durst seeming like a big fucking loser. But
Yep.
all that is to say, it's all engineered. Every single part of the entire story is just that, a story. It was crafted by people like Lou Pearlman and Carson Daly, Dave Holmes, and Fred Durst. And in the grand scheme of things, this war was really short-lived. Korn's last appearance in the #1 spot on TRL was a one-time appearance of their video Here to Stay in 2002. Limp Bizkit's last appearance in the #1 spot was in March of 2001 with Rollin'.
Yep.
And you had the odd appearance from POD, but if you look back at it, who was at the #1 spot? And it's not even close. B2K, BB Mac, O-Town, Nick Carter, all these acts endured beyond nu metal's birth, rise, and fall. So what does that tell us? I don't know.
I mean, would you like our educated opinion?
Sure.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay. Women have expendable income when it comes to buying things that make us feel good. Positivity will always win over negativity, right? You can only be angry for so long. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like the Backstreet Boys, they have like everything. They got the full gambit. They got the "I love you, let's do it, we broke up, I'm sad." Like the full gambit of songs. Where it's everywhere, right? That covers a whole person's life essentially. You know what I mean? Like just like anger and hostility and shit like that. Like I mean, while great and a very valid response, because there are things that make you angry. Just
sometimes you just need to.
You know what I mean? Like it's I think that women are more likely to spend money on merch than men are sometimes. Yeah, just
women would be more likely to go out and buy the CDs and do all that stuff.
You know what I'm saying?
As opposed to just downloading it on Napster or whatever.
Right.
It is funny because like a lot of there's a current trope of like singers in punk and hardcore bands, as they get older, they pivot, start playing like country music because like I'm 40 and I don't want to scream into them.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's damaging to your vocal cords too, right?
That's
like
true. Good point.
I mean, and singing for long periods of time is going to do that to you. Even Brian Littrell from the Backstreet Boys. I mean, he's had a lot of vocal damage, right? Just because he's been singing it for like 40 years,
30
right?
years.
30 years. Yeah.
30 years.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Yeah, that's my opinion. Shinley, what's your opinion?
No.
I think that's a pretty accurate assessment.
And women are not going to want to buy shit where they're talking down about women. Like,
Really?
Hoes and bitches. I don't want to buy them.
I'm a hoe and a bitch. Here's some money.
Okay, where are they now? Well, the members of Backstreet Boys and NSYNC were never heard from again.
What?
No, they've all gone on to have success in their own right. Obviously, there's Justin Timberlake, and I think one of the Backstreet Boys got pilled and is into QAnon. And
what?
Yeah.
Which one?
Oh,
Ryan.
yeah. We don't want to talk about that.
Oh, yes. Okay, I forgot. Sorry.
If you want to hear more about that, again, I can't urge you enough to tune into Boy Band Break, where they break it down for you. In 2006, our boy Lou Pearlman was uncovered as perpetrating the longest running Ponzi scheme in American history and had defrauded investors out of more than $1 billion.
Yeah, he did.
It was
billion. On May 21st, 2008, Pearlman was sentenced to 25 years in prison on charges of conspiracy, money laundering, and making false statements during a bankruptcy proceeding. 5 days before his sentencing in, Pearlman requested a telephone and internet connection 2 days a week to continue to promote bands. He was denied this request.
Yeah, he tried
Can
to
I just say a really quick thing about how he was caught?
You didn't even mention the best part, Kevin.
This is like the best part of what happened. So obviously all these boy band fangirls all know who Lou Pearlman is.
Everybody.
So he's on the run. So they shredded a whole bunch of stuff in Transcon offices. They did all this
Closed
stuff.
down.
He takes off. He goes. He flies to Thailand. So he's in Thailand and he's at a hotel there. The FBI somehow got a tip that he might be at this place. And then, so they had sent some FBI agents. So then this fan from Germany saw Lou there, took a picture of him and sent it to the FBI. And in the background of the picture are the FBI agents who are supposed to be tracking down Lou in the same restaurant, have no idea that he's there. And the name that he checked himself into the hotel was Incognito Johnson. Was the name that was his fake name.
I think was he not found with like a male companion who is underage?
Possibly. That's the rumors. I don't know. But anyways, he was eventually found because this German tourist took a picture of him and sent it to the FBI and said, hey, aren't you looking for this guy? Like, he's right here.
He's
incredible.
Absolutely
fantastic.
Crazy.
In 2016, he suffered a cardiac arrest and passed away at the age of 62. So hopefully he's grifting up in heaven.
Grifting Jesus. Oh, God.
I want to end this episode with a look at how far we've come. Today's kids aren't siloed. They embrace and enjoy whatever the hell they want, whenever the hell they want, right from their phones.
Yep.
For a teeny bopper or a high school misanthrope, it's an awesome time for discovering music and carving out your little place in the world. In the words of Rocky Balboa after he punched communism to death on Christmas Day,
if I can change,
Я думаю, что каждый тоже изменился сегодня.
and you can change,
Вы можете измениться.
everybody can change. Каждый может измениться.
and now I will leave you with this. Here's Korn singing.
Tell me why it ain't nothing but a heartache. Tell me why it ain't nothing but a mistake. Tell me why I never hear you say I want it that way.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
I think we finally come full circle. Cinzia, Lydia, I want to thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much, guys.
And I just have to say, like, how does it feel that you guys have two of the most popular boy band names?
Kevin and Nick, hello. Backstreet.
Oh, that's funny.
Jonas Brothers, Backstreet. You got
the
Never
facial
thought about it
hair. I
before.
mean,
you guys are already 2/5 of a boy band here. You just need three more guys.
Three more
and then
guys
you're
and
good to go.
Yeah, there we go.
New metal boy band.
Amazing. Well, guys, thank you again for tuning in. If you are interested in following Boy Band Break, where can people find you online?
So the spelling is BoyBandBreak, and you can find us on YouTube and
Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, anywhere you listen to podcasts, we're on there. So
you got it.
Yeah.
Awesome. You can find us on Instagram at Dayz of the New. That's DAYZ of the NU. You can find me on Instagram at KJDELURY.
You can find me on Instagram at Nick_the_knife.
That's going to do it for this episode. Big thanks again to Cinzia and Lydia from Boy Band Break. We will see you next week with a mosh pit, and that's about it. Bye.
Bye.